It's the art of storytelling, and we're having a lot of fun in the studio. Coming up in the first 7 minutes, we're going to talk about those silver bullets and structure, a lot about story and really why it is that we do this stuff. So if I have to start getting into this by telling you about stories and how people have, particularly in the last year or so online, talking about this incredible silver bullet of storytelling. It sounds like something that really is simple and easy, and I think that this is, there's some truth in it, but I wanted to remind you of that thing called innovation. Can you remember a while ago there was this trend of people looking at billboards, and everybody had a billboard that said, "We're so innovative, our car's innovative because we say so," and in a funny kind of way, innovation became this kind of silver bullet, and people just thought if we put the word down there, it'll make us be so. And I don't think that's true, because I think that in the long run of things, storytelling is something that you have to craft and you have to work carefully, and I think that there are some basics that people sometimes overlook. So hopefully we're going to talk through some of those tonight, and in reality, here's the idea around stories that really build much better engagement when they are well told. Now, if you look at how stories work, we've done this in our structure workshop. We talked about stories that build empathy, how they make a connection, and how come they are memorable, or they make things more memorable. But in truth, the real reason we do all of this is because we want something to be repeatable. When you speak online or when you present an idea, you really are trying to give people little nuggets that will roll out that they will remember, because if they remember it, they're going to repeat your message. So the real reason we do all of this tonight, all of the storytelling here, is because we want to enable repeatability. So where do we start? Well, we have to start really by having something that we want to work with. So where is it that you're going? And because I love movies, this image immediately spoke to me. If the movie, you can put that in the inbox, in the chat box, if you want to say whether you think you know what kind of movie this would be. This is not from an actual film, but is a fabulous road movie. It's probably the grandmother of road movies. Two ladies who take to the road to improve their lives. What a story, what an amazing movie. I don't see anybody fast enough in there, but I'm going to tell you what it was. Of course, it is reminiscent of Thelma and Louise, which is one of those fabulous stories, and it's just so rich and it's so wonderful because of the really interesting characters that it has. And that is really where a story starts. Interesting characters, interesting plot that wants to arrest your attention. Now, why do we want to do this? Well, we want to arrest people's attention at the beginning, and I like this word because it speaks about something that's more serious and it's more interesting than just grabbing your attention, because grabbing is, I want a real shake-up. And the reason that we want to do this is because if we go and look at a opening of a webinar or a story that you start telling, that beginning, that nose, is really the space where you're beginning to see people come into the room, and they have to have something interesting that's going to hold them. And because of that, you try and get your initial story together really well. Not like mine tonight, it was a complete disaster. This is a clip that belongs in the disaster show. But the nose of your presentation is really important, that initial because that story is going to land, is going to connect. And tonight we're going to work a little bit with that particular area to say, how do you craft that part of the story? Now, already you know from when we spoke before about structure, Sid Field talks a lot about how structure is so important, because those initial 3 minutes or so have the hook, which is incredibly important because it hooks your audience, and that inciting incident, which is really something like a aha moment when they go, okay, I'm going to be with the story, I'm going to follow the story through. Quick do's and don'ts. Opening of the story, when you craft that, know your audience, line up with your audience, align, make sure that it's appropriate. Find the right core, and then talk to what you know. I love talking about this subject matter because it's stuff that I work with all the time. I produce stories, we produce online, and we can see which kind of stories work well and which ones don't travel as well. And then, of course, there are the don'ts. If you look at the don'ts, don't doubt yourself. Don't hog the spotlight. And when you tell stories, don't always be the own hero of the story. This is an interesting one as well. Not too much detail to overwhelm, because we'll always come back to edit, edit, edit. If there's some idea I can pin for you during this section, it really is to say, be relatable. Look at your repeatability, because repeatability is really that thing that is going to make an audience remember you. You want the idea to be memorable.